The winner of the 2025 Heisman Trophy is Fernando Mendoza.
He's going to take off and run. Diving toward the end zone. Touchdown. Unreal.
Yeah, you know it. I'm the man. Yeah, I show it.
If anybody's looking for
What you talking if I ain't the topic?
Yeah, new on NFL Live, that is Heisman winner, national champion, and presumptive #1 overall pick, Fernando Mendoza. He was throwing today at Indiana's Pro Day. Plenty of scouts in attendance to watch Mendoza and other members of the national champion Indiana Hoosiers do their thing. And who's there scouting it for us but Louis Riddick in the building for today's workout, joining NFL Live now. Louis, what did we see from Mendoza today?
A lot of good stuff, Dan. A lot of good stuff. I think the thing that's most impressive, though, about Fernando really doesn't have anything to do with the field. It's his presence. It's when you sit and you talk to him, you look him in the eye, you look at his body type, you look at the way in which he kind of gets on with the rest of his teammates, with his coaches, the way in which he took charge of this workout, announcing every receiver before they ran their route and announcing what the route was going to be, interacting with them in between routes, giving them breaks when he sensed that they were getting tired. And then, look, obviously all the things that he wanted to show scouts right now, if he really needs to impress any other team other than the Las Vegas Raiders, in terms of his ability to operate from under center, execute 3, 5, 7-step drops, half rolls, boot passes, throw on the move, throw with touch, throw with horsepower. He has all of that. He showed all of that. Now, some people would say, well, it doesn't really matter if he showed it in the pro day. Can he do it in the game? Well, he also threw 41 touchdowns and won the national title and won the Heisman Trophy. So he was doing something pretty good when there was actually 11 on 11 with pads, too. To me, he has nailed this entire process. He played the season at the highest level he could possibly play it at. When you talk to him and you really try to assess his football acumen, his personal and football character, he grades out A+ on all of that. And then as far as his physical attributes and the way in which he can throw the football, and the way in which he projects to the NFL, to me, he's the slam dunk #1 overall pick for the Las Vegas Raiders, and nothing will move me off of that. I'd be shocked beyond belief if that doesn't actually happen.
Yeah, I think at this point, I think most people would be shocked. Thanks, Louis. And you mentioned that, when you had a chance to sit down with him, he's impressive. You did, in fact, have a chance to sit down with him. We want to show the people a little bit of that interview from earlier today.
I felt great. I think it was great to get back on the field, my guys. We had 9 eligibles coming out to the draft, which is a lot. We were able to get a lot of throws in there. And my thing is I wanted to best serve my teammates.
Yeah.
And so although we had a lot of guys, we got a lot more throws than a lot of quarterbacks in their pro days. But I wanted my guys to be able to showcase what they got in front of all 32 NFL teams, and routes and timing and footwork that is really applicable to the league.
Right.
Not just some crazy, whatever.
I got
some stuff that it can actually get translated in the game. And nothing against that. Just
of course.
But just want to best showcase us and why we were so efficient this year and why we were so effective as well.
Fernando Mendoza getting us started today on NFL Live. I'm Dan Graziano here with Field Yates and Booger McFarland joining us as well. Mendoza, look, guys, we're pretty sure he's going to go #1 to the Raiders at this point. So he's talking about why he's doing this. He wants to help his teammates look good for the scouts that are in attendance. But when we look at Mendoza, Booger, why is he the guy that's going to go #1 overall?
Well, I think simply put, he's the best quarterback that's available to be drafted this year. I think the combination of size, when you look at 6'4", 230 pounds, of accuracy, being able to throw the football accurately, his decision-making. You talk to people in Indiana, they talk about a couple of things, his decision-making and his ability to process information. Those things get my ears perked up, guys, because I've said all along, I don't care how tall a quarterback is, I don't care how far he can throw the football. That position has to be a decision-making, process information position, and he does it as good as any quarterback in this draft. Matter of fact, he does it better, I think, than any quarterback in this draft. And then the last element for me is a bit of toughness. You go back, and I'm talking about mental and physical toughness. Mental toughness. Your team is down. It's the last 2 minutes of the game. It's Indiana versus Penn State. Go back to the Big Ten championship game. The season is on the line. Watch Fernando Mendoza play in clutch time, and then watch the opening hit of the Big Ten championship game. He gets shellacked. He gets back up, he comes back in the game, and he performs at a high level. So I think he checks all the boxes, and of all the quarterbacks that are available this year, He fits the bill when it comes to all those things I listed, and I think he's the best available.
Yeah, Boog, Bill Parcells had his legendary quarterback commandments in the draft, and Fernando Mendoza checks a lot of the boxes that he was looking for during his evaluations. The size, very good, nearly 240 pounds. You could see it, by the way, at the Pro Day. Without the pads, you can see just how well-built Fernando Mendoza is. 35 starts as well, above the threshold that NFL scouts and decision-makers would like to see from a player at the collegiate level. Full field accuracy with good to very good arm strength as well. Clutch production, a big-time trait for Fernando Mendoza. Boog mentioned the Penn State game, the Ohio State game. How about, of course, the biggest play of the college football season, his rushing touchdown against Miami in the national championship game that effectively sealed that game and gave the Hoosiers their first ever national championship in football. I do think, though, as we get closer and closer to this process, even though we know he's going to be the number 1 overall pick, it's worth noting the areas for Fernando to continue to develop that are going to have to change when he gets to the NFL. 2 seasons ago, when he was playing at Cal, he trailed only Shedeur Sanders in terms of sacks taken at the FBS level. This past year, he cut his sacks taken down by about 50%. Some of that is attributable to the fact that he improved in that regard, some of which is a better offensive line as well. His sack avoidance is a trait that Clint Kubiak's going to have to work on every single day because the consequences for Indiana last year weren't that significant, right? They were 16-0. They were the best team in college football. When you're playing for the Raiders, a sack taken could be the difference between a win or a loss, and you just pile those up on top of each other, and you're playing from behind way too frequently.
Yeah, Clint Kubiak and the Raiders coach is eager to get to work. Mendoza likely to be the 6th player ever to win a Heisman Trophy national championship and be picked first overall.
Seems good to me.
Yeah, it's a solid list. I'll go through it later if we have time. To Pittsburgh now, where the Steelers still await word from Aaron Rodgers on whether he wants to play for them again this year. Team owner and their new head coach were at the owners' meetings earlier this week in Arizona and provided some updates on the process.
I have not talked to him. Coach has been in contact with him pretty regularly, and I think the decision is probably coming soon. I would say by the draft I expect an answer, yep.
2006 was my first time doing this, and the first question was about a veteran quarterback, whether he was going to come back or not. So it's a big deja vu. But no, it's going good. It's been very positive, and we'll just continue to talk. So I'm not going to really get into timelines. So we're in constant communication. Talked to him last night. So we're in a good space, and we'll just continue to work through it.
Did you tell him last night that you were going to get 50 questions about him?
No, I didn't. He says hello. So.
Mike McCarthy having Brett Favre flashbacks and also a little bit of a flex on how long he's been an NFL head coach, which is pretty good. Booger, what do you make of all this Aaron Rodgers Steelers stuff?
You know what, Graz? It just amazes me that a franchise that has been searching for a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger, and I mean searching. They've gone from Kenny Pickett to everybody you can think of. They're still sitting here less than a month from the draft, and they got no clue what they're going to do at quarterback. I get it. Mike McCarthy has familiarity with Aaron Rodgers, and that may be the road that they go down. But is it not only for a year? When are they going to get the long-term answer? Yeah. So I just find it really shocking that this franchise, of all franchises, after you move on from Mike Tomlin and he decides to retire, that we're back at the same question again. What are we going to do with Aaron Rodgers? As if he's going to get younger from last year to this year.
Well, that is one of the few things Aaron Rodgers cannot do is get younger. One of the other big offseason stories in the NFL is Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes and his recovery from a season-ending knee injury. Unclear how much time he's going to need to be ready for next season, but Chiefs owner Clark Hunt seems to be reading some tea leaves from the league on the Mahomes front. He told reporters at the meetings that the team is not expected to start the season in Seattle on opening night, saying, quote, I don't think that's on the table anymore. I think from a league standpoint, there would be some concern whether Mahomes would be ready to go. Obviously, the point is that Chiefs Seahawks in week 1 would have a lot more appeal if Mahomes was in it. Field, what do you think?
I think people are reading between the lines a little bit too much here, Graz. Not suggesting by Clark Hunt that Patrick Mahomes won't be ready, but even if there's a 2% chance that he is not going to be ready for week 1, does the NFL want to schedule what will be one of its biggest, most anticipated games of the entire season, whether it's played in week 1, week 10, or week 15, in an opportunity where you could have Justin Fields in place of Patrick Mahomes? I think that's probably the more simple answer here, is that hopefully Patrick Mahomes is ready in week 1. Maybe there's some confidence he will be, but if there's even a 2% chance he won't be, I risk it.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, we're going to follow this story all through the offseason. We'll see what the timetable is. Andy Reid said he wouldn't bet against him
I won't either.
earlier this week. Speaking of Andy Reid, Chiefs having a little April Fool's Day fun, putting out a post claiming you can buy an Andy Reid disguise for the small price of $15.87. That's a significant number to Chiefs fans. 15, Mahomes, 87, Travis Kelce.
That one works.
That's
I like
right.
it right there. As
Got
somebody
us
who can't grow a
wondering
mustache.
if we could buy this, but you don't have to because we can put the disguise on it. What do you think? I think that looks good.
You know, I want to wait for my
Field
wife
automatically
to
looks
weigh in
old.
Come on now, Boog.
They found a way to make Field look old. Booger looks.
You look jolly right there, Boog.
Yeah, that looks good, man. What do you think? I think that's quality on Booger. I think we should really get some of these.
I'm not so sure that a dark-skinned brother is going to have a blonde mustache. I'll just leave it at that.
Blonde mustache and a white nose, honestly, for that matter. So yeah, here we go. Now, this is. It's never looked better than it does right here.
Look at it.
I feel like you could pull a mustache
Looking
off
like a
just
low-grade
right.
porn star. Look at
It's
it.
the offseason.
Come on, now we're on national TV, Boog.
For now, we are in fact just getting started. ESPN.com today about the Eagles. After dethroning the back-to-back Super Bowl champion Chiefs in Super Bowl 59, Eagles went into last season with championship expectations, but their issues on offense eventually caught up with them and led to an early exit in the first round of the playoffs. ESPN's Tim McManus pulls back the curtain on what helped derail the Eagles and their star-studded offense this past season.
What a game. What a season. What a team. The greatest Eagles team in modern history.
Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl MVP, a three-time Pro Bowler, and one of the winningest quarterbacks of his era. But heading into the 2026 season, Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles are at a crossroads. The passing game has been subpar for more than 2 years, despite having the most expensive offensive roster in football, with a cash value of over $195 million, featuring star receivers A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Brown's frustrations have been well documented and could lead to him being traded this offseason. But he's not the only one who has felt boxed in. While there is plenty of blame to go around, sources say Hurts has pushed back on changes that would diversify the offense and goes off script from the game plan, at times switching two plays that haven't even been installed. One team source described Hurts as, quote, not always coachable, and the players notice. Hurts has been able to block out the distractions, a quality that comes in especially handy in a rabid sports town like Philly. But the hard shell can also make him difficult to communicate with. Teammates and staff members have urged him to do a better job at connecting with players and coaches, an area Hurts has shown progress in despite his introverted nature.
All of it, every play. Let's go win on 3, 1, 2, 3. Win.
On the flip side, Hurts' steady, if rigid, vision has been a stabilizing force through constant turnover at offensive coordinator. Sean Mannion will be his 6th play caller since entering the league in 2020. The Eagles expect to reshape the offense yet again next season, this time with a Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay-style system, the most dramatic overhaul yet under coach Nick Sirianni. It will lean heavily into under-center play action and motion, two areas the Eagles haven't majored in, due in part, sources said, to Hurts' reluctance. But one team source says that Hurts is, quote, as open as he's ever been to changes. The offense has relied heavily on Saquon Barkley and the ground game, and the organization believes it has to evolve. The direction is set. Now it's up to Hurts to lead the way.
Again, that was our Tim McManus, who, along with Jeremy Fowler, wrote the story on ESPN.com. You should check it out, much more in there. But Booger, listening to what Tim had to say there, what did you take away from the piece?
Well, I think it's kind of ironic that all this comes out. Like, if you watch Jalen Hurts over the course of his career, you kind of know what he is. You know what his limitations are. And I think when you go back to Shane Steichen and you look at Kellen Moore, they understood who he was, and they play design and play call to that fact. And I think right now we're seeing with the frustration of A.J. Brown and the simplicity in the passing game that we all documented and talked about last year, everyone is pointing the finger at a lot of different people. And truth be told, there's enough blame to go around. And Jalen Hurts deserves some of that blame. I think when you looked at the Eagles offense last year, it was super simple. Some people called it high schoolish, and a lot of people are saying that was because of Jalen Hurts. I think everybody collectively, led by Nick Sirianni, needs to get in the room and understand, hey, in order for us to get back to where we want to go, we all have to evolve. We have to evolve from an offense that's just going to be Saquon Barkley and throwing slants and go routes. We got to get to this under center play action. And what does that mean? Jalen, you got to turn your back to the defense and come out and find the safeties and read everything. And so I think there is some truth to this, but I think we already knew what Jalen Hurts was. And for this to come to light now further kind of illuminate some of the issues that's been going on in Philadelphia.
Yeah, Boog, let's start. I think it's important to start by just reminding people of the resume of Jalen Hurts, a Super Bowl MVP once, the best player on the field in the other Super Bowl that he played, which Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs won. Mahomes got the MVP, but Hurts was brilliant in that game as well. He's a very talented player. He's also got a very specific skill set that is different from most of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. It's Philadelphia. It's a pressure cooker. It's a massive season ahead. I am stating the obvious in noting that. What I'm most interested by is this fit. As Tim McManus referenced, a Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan type offense is not one where the quarterback is winning with constant second reaction plays. That's one of Jalen's great strengths. Is if things don't look good on first blush, he can buy some time and make things happen with his legs or arm on second blush. This is a rhythm and timing offense. Is he the right quarterback to architect this kind of offense? Massive question for this year.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, look, some of the numbers that Tim McManus referenced in that piece. The Eagles ranked 29th last year in motion usage, 27th in under center plays, and 19th in play action. What they did love to do is run the ball. Only 6 teams called designed rushes at a higher rate. So I want to push on what you were just saying. We talk about this McVay, Shanahan, LaFleur style offense. The premise is, hey, we can get guys open. Find them, get us 4 more downs, right? Like that's what they want. Is Jalen Hurts the kind of, do you see him being the kind of guy that, especially in one-off season, can transform in the way he would need to?
Right. This is a gigantic season. It needs to go well, or further change could be coming, and you're going to play an entirely different style than the way that he has played, not just under the previous 5 offensive coordinators, but all the offensive coordinators he played at during his time at Alabama and also Oklahoma. I don't think this is a perfect fit for him, truthfully. You think about some of the quarterbacks that have thrived in this system, right? The MVP of the NFL this past season, Matthew Stafford, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant when he entered the league, but part of the appeal is that he's a distributor. He plays on time. He plays with great anticipation. There are big challenges here for Jalen Hurts, and we're talking about the possibility, which at least to me feels very real, of him getting the job done without A.J. Brown, right, which enters a whole different question into this conversation, Boog.
I just think when you look at it, I think the kind of perception and reality thing is that the best player on every team usually is the quarterback, and that usually is the highest paid player. He's the highest paid player on the Eagles. And so I think where we talk about Jalen Hurts and his specific skill set, Phil, I think when I pay you $52 to $55 million a year, I expect you to play above your skill set. He needs to be the best player on the field and play like that. And I think there's some frustration, whether it's with the receivers, whether it's some of the offensive coordinators. They interviewed 50 people for the job. I don't think it took 50 interviews to find a guy that needed to work with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. I think they were trying to figure out somebody that could get the best and bring the best out of Jalen Hurts, because regardless of how we look at it, he's the highest paid player on the team. And I think the perception is that we shouldn't have to work around the highest paid player on the team's limitations in our offense. He should be carrying this offense. And right now, based on what we saw last year, he's not doing that.
There does need to be some sort of meaning in the middle, in the sense that, it's good that you have your system and you're Sean Mannion, a first-time play caller. You also have to cater to the strengths of, as you said, the highest paid player on the team. I don't know if $55 million is like to make in a year. Boog might. But you have to find a way to meet in the middle a little bit with Jalen Hurts for this to be successful over the long term, not just in the beginning, but over the long term.
Huge offseason for the Eagles and a huge task ahead for first-time offensive coordinator Sean Mannion. Still to come on NFL Live, Fernando Mendoza will likely be the first quarterback taken in the NFL draft, but is he going to be ready to start right away? Booger and Field will weigh in on that When we come back, stay tuned. You're watching NFL Live. Our top story on NFL Live today, presumptive #1 overall pick Fernando Mendoza showing off at Indiana Pro Day a little more than 3 weeks ahead of the draft. Our Louis Riddick caught up with Mendoza after the workout and asked him where he thinks he can improve at the next level.
No offense to any of the pro day, but my goal is to be the best quarterback in September,
right,
the start of the season,
sure,
rather than being the best quarterback today, April 1st, for the pro day. The pro day is great when I showcase my guys, but all my focus is on September. Working a lot under center.
Yep.
Learning just general West Coast concepts. So no matter what team I go to, I can apply those and work on the field with them and watch film about those concepts so I can get a head start day one.
Yeah, whatever team I go to, if it happens to be a team that runs West Coast stuff, like, for instance, the Raiders, who have just one quarterback on their roster currently. Aiden O'Connell has made 17 starts in his career. None of them were last year, so they obviously have a lot of eggs in the Fernando Mendoza basket as of right now. But their head coach, Clint Kubiak, spoke at the meetings earlier this week on the importance of bringing in a veteran to help.
I think in a perfect world that he's watching a mature adult, go and run an offense and run the team. But you don't. The situation is you might have that player, you might not. You might not have that veteran to show him the way. So he might come in and have to play immediately.
Booger, do you agree about the importance of having a veteran in the room with a rookie quarterback?
Yeah, I think you got to have a veteran in there, man. Like, being a rookie in the National Football League is hard. I wasn't a quarterback. I was a defensive tackle, and I had Warren Sapp and Brad Culpepper. You just need somebody in the room to kind of show you the ropes and talk the language that sometimes the coach doesn't talk. And so, especially at the toughest position in our sport, I think having a veteran that can help mentor Fernando Mendoza and probably start the season and play the first couple games. That way he doesn't have to come out and feel like he's the savior. So I completely agree with this scenario. If they don't do that, to me, if you throw Fernando Mendoza out there week 1 and say, go play, kid, I get it. Peyton Manning did it. Troy Aikman did it. Times are a little bit different. I think both of those quarterbacks are a little bit different. I think the Raiders will be making a mistake if they don't have a veteran in the quarterback room and in the locker room with him. And also, if they don't have a veteran that starts game 1, that way Mendoza doesn't have to do that.
Yeah, Boog, I think that a veteran quarterback is important for Fernando Mendoza. I think it has to be the right veteran quarterback, though. And I think it's a quarterback who goes to Las Vegas with the understanding that my leash is very short. It could last halfway through the upcoming season. It might last halfway through training camp this upcoming year, because make no mistake about it, this Raiders franchise's future will be dictated by Fernando Mendoza and how he progresses as an NFL player in 3 weeks and a day when he gets taken by Las Vegas officially. Who is the quarterback that is going to be the guy that is going to work with Fernando to improve his game while simultaneously preparing for the upcoming season? I think the name that looms large here, he was mentioned by a couple of different head coaches at the owners' meetings over the weekend, is Kirk Cousins, who just spent the past 2 seasons, at least the past season, as the mentor for Michael Penix Jr. He, of course, was the starter 2 years ago when the team unexpectedly drafted Michael Penix Jr. in Atlanta after signing Kirk Cousins. Seems like Kirk has sort of embraced and graduated into that role where he is happy to be a guy that shows the young quarterback the ropes while also continuing to do his preparation.
Field, I think Kirk would do a good job of showing Fernando Mendoza the ropes. But let's face it, Kirk Cousins want to play. Like, that's the reason he doesn't want to be in Atlanta anymore. Like, he wants to get out and play. He still thinks he's got a little gas left in the tank. And so I hear you. Kirk is a tremendous guy, and I think there's no doubt in my mind that someday he's going to be their role. But right now, Kirk Cousins wants to play. So maybe somebody, to your point, that has no intention of, hey, when you get tapped on the shoulder, it's time for you to come out, they'll gladly come out, put the ball cap on, and say, let's go, Fernando.
Yeah, you do wonder if Cousins will voluntarily go to a situation that's like the one he was in involuntarily 2 years ago when Atlanta drafted Michael Penix. But he is still out there, and he does know Clint Kubiak from their time together in Minnesota. Coming up on NFL Live, you don't want to miss what new Ravens head coach Jesse Minter had to say about Lamar Jackson showing up for OTAs, nor do you want to miss Booger's warning of what the consequences could be if he doesn't. Girls divisions. Up next, we have the Baltimore Ravens and Kansas City Chiefs hosting their regional tournaments. To find a league near you, go to NFLflag.com. In case you missed it, it was a busy week at the league meetings out there in Arizona. The Browns dealing with questions on their quarterback situation, as they do every single year. Browns owner Jimmy Haslam told reporters that Deshaun Watson has a, quote, great chance to be the team's starting quarterback. New Browns head coach Todd Monken weighed in on the quarterback room as well.
Well, it's too early to really evaluate him, other than it's been great that he's been in the building. It's refreshing to see a player that recognizes where he's at and where he wants to get to.
And Gabriel hasn't been in the building?
As far as I know, he has not. I have not seen Dylan yet.
So does that mean Shedeur gets the bulk of the reps?
I'm not ready to say that yet. I just said the reps can't be divided up evenly. There's no chance it can be divided up evenly.
Shout out, by the way, to Kimberly Martin, who somehow attended all of the head coach interviews we're having at the same time. Booger, how would you handle the quarterback situation in Cleveland?
Man, to me, this quarterback competition is going to be fun, and I would make it just that. An open competition. Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Deshaun Watson. You got nothing to lose. Play the best guy, and guess what? Regardless of what happens, unless one of them blows you away, you're going to be in the quarterback market in 27. So I completely understand what Todd Monken is thinking. I understand what the ownership is saying. We got the best of both worlds. We have three capable bodies, and may the best man win. And for Todd Monken, he has no allegiances since he's a new coach. So I think he's honestly going to pick the best guy.
Last time Deshaun Watson started a game was October 20th, 2024. It's 529 days ago. So we shall see. He is still under contract. George Pickens' contract was a big topic of conversation for the Dallas Cowboys at the meeting, and Jerry Jones explained the negotiations as only he can.
There's no issue with me with talking to agents. I need to do a better job of not getting, well, Daddy said I could have it, and him going to Mama and Mama saying, Daddy said I could have it. We've got to get on the same page, and I have something to do with that as well.
Yeah, so that clears things up. Field, Pickens on the franchise tag. How do you see this playing out?
First of all, more importantly, motion to have the Cowboys on Hard Knocks every year. With all due respect to the Seahawks and the Patriots, I want the Cowboys every August. I am going to call my shot here, Graz.
Yes.
I expect this one to play out like basically every high-profile Cowboys contract negotiation plays out. Jerry Jones talks about it frequently, publicly. Doesn't make it a whole lot easier on the team. This thing becomes a knockdown, drag-out fight. George Pickens either gets a deal done just before the deadline, which is around July 15th, or he plays on the one-year franchise tag this year, and we do this dance again next offseason. History has told us very rarely do the Cowboys or the player involved budge earlier than they need to.
Cowboys do like to provide stuff for us to talk about in the offseason.
Awesome for that reason.
After making it clear in his introductory press conference that he would like quarterback Lamar Jackson at the team's offseason workouts, new Ravens head coach Jesse Minter stopped by our set out there in Phoenix this week with an update.
I have a pretty good confidence level that we'll have a lot of attendance there starting on Monday, and look forward to seeing who all that's at. It's about us creating an environment where they want to be there, where they feel like they're getting a lot out of it. We have a ton of respect for the rules, that it's voluntary, so we need to make it an environment that they feel like they're getting better. And so we look forward to starting that on Monday.
How important would it be, though, to have Lamar there?
Yeah, Lamar is certainly a key piece of the team, but, you know, he's won MVP doing it a multitude of different ways. So I'm very confident that in September we'll have Lamar where we need to have him. And so, like, again, just look forward to the work that we get to start this week.
Always a tough needle to thread. The coach is not allowed to pressure players to go to voluntary off-season workouts. But Booger, how do you think Lamar's teammates view the situation?
Well, listen, nobody's going to have 100% participation at any of these. But even back in the day, we didn't. But I think what you expect, especially in a situation like this where they're installing a new offense, you coincide that with Lamar Jackson, Steve Bisciotti, the owner, has already said we're going to get him a new contract, which we assume is going to be north of $60 million a year. So if you're the highest paid player on the team, installing a new offense, and you got a new contract, I think a lot of teammates are going to expect Lamar to be there the majority of the time. I didn't say he had to be there every day, but he needs to be there to put this offense in, to show his face. I know he's going to come to sign a new contract. Whenever he gets that, he's going to show up. So I think it will be good for everyone, for the highest paid player in the league, if and when he does this new deal, to show up, especially with the new offense. Because you know, as I know, guys, when you put a new offense, it's going to be new verbiage. It's going to be new terminology. And I think the expectation would be for him to be there more times than not.
And let's keep it real, Boog. If the Ravens' third corner is not there for a day of OTAs, we'll get measured on NFL Live. If Lamar Jackson's not there on the first day of OTAs, probably lead our show. It'll probably be a news story on ESPN.com. To whom much is given, much is expected. I know it's voluntary. Very aware of all the rules that surround it. But if you're making $60 million per year or more, the highest paid player in NFL history, which is possible for Lamar Jackson, I don't think it's unreasonable that the franchise expects in turn that with a new system being installed, with a new head coach for the first time in nearly 20 years in Baltimore, that the best player, maybe in franchise history, at least he has a chance to get there, along with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and Jonathan Ogden, is there at OTAs. Again, could not be more understanding of what the rules are. But think about the message that other players on this roster are probably feeling, even if they don't vocalize it. If the best player on the team right now isn't there, if you're a guy that's trying to make this team or a guy who's trying to carve out a larger role in this team, it's very important to have these opportunities with Lamar. He'll be fine come September, but there's a trickle-down effect on a Boog that I think is important during OTAs.
And I completely agree with you, but just like anything, it's going to require communication. I think Lamar needs to get with Jesse Minter, hey, guys, these are the days that I'm coming. That way, when Jesse gets questioned by the media, hey, did you know Lamar was going to be there? Is Lamar coming? He can say, you know what? I've communicated with Lamar. We know when he's going to be here. He has the playbook. He's learning the playbook based on whatever. Let's remember, guys, to your point, Phil, these are voluntary, but we have a plan for Lamar to implement this offense. That way, once training camp gets here, he's ready to go. I think the messaging and the communication is going to be important, to your point, Phil, because if it's day one of OTAs, and Jesse Minter says, hey, I haven't talked to Lamar, it's definitely going to lead NFL Live. But if he says, you know what, Lamar, I've talked to him, he's going to be here later this week, the offense is going to be rolling, blah, 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 then everything is all good. Messaging and communication will be important as we go through these OTAs.
Last thing I want to make clear, Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Drake May, Joe Burrow, any of these high-profile quarterbacks, any starting quarterback, I apply that same reasoning and logic to.
All right, we'll see what happens. 2026 will be the fourth year of that 5-year, $260 million extension Lamar signed back in 23. Still ahead, Jeremiah Love might be the best player in the draft, but that doesn't always matter if you don't land in the right spot. We will discuss a few teams that have a real shot at landing the prize running back. Don't go anywhere. You're watching NFL Live.